Back when I was still freshly graduated and working my first real job in the city, some coworkers invited me to go for drinks with them on a Friday night. I had an amazing time, and it was awesome to get to know them in such a casual and different environment. And then at around 1 o'clock in the morning, I decided to call it quits and take a cab home. I walked out of that club, and then I was on my way towards one of the larger streets where I was more likely to see a vacant cab when I realized that I'd lost my purse somehow. I knew the chances of getting it back that night were slim to none, and the best thing to do was just cancel the card and write off any cash in there as a loss. But then, after calling around to some friends and family to see who was free to give me a ride home, I found out everyone with a car was either drunk, asleep, or both. I realized that if I was going to get home that night, I either had to hitch a ride with a total stranger or walk a heck of a long way on my own and in the dark. And since the idea of the first thing scared the ever-living hell out of me, I chose the second thing and started walking. I cannot overstate how glad I was that I chose to wear sneakers that night. I made steady progress away from the busier, more party-oriented areas of downtown and toward the more chill and less populated ones. It was actually kind of cool walking through all those abandoned places. They were usually just teeming with life in the daytime, and now they were very peaceful and empty. But it was also kind of eerie too, and I kept having to push the image out of my head of some creep jumping out at me from the shadows. I was careful where I walked, kept looking around to make sure that no one was following, and tried sticking to well-lit areas too. And then when I finally did see another person, I kind of panicked a little, thinking, oh God, please let them be cool. But my mini panic stopped right as I looked closer and saw it was some creeper in a hoodie intent on stalking me all the way home. It was another girl, similarly aged and similarly dressed too. She was walking on the other side of the street as I turned a corner, and we were both walking in the same direction too. So when I looked over and we made eye contact, she asked if I wanted to walk together with her. And she acted super extroverted and friendly. And I knew two girls walking together was way safer than just one walking alone. So I figured, what the heck, why not? And she crossed the street to introduce herself. She told me her name was Kim, and that she may or may not have accidentally given her cab fare to a bartender who most assumed it was just a tip. We joked about how she'd accidentally earned herself some good karma, and that she'd probably get that $20 back somehow in the near future. And then the conversation continued as we carried on our way. And I think like maybe a third of the way through the journey, we saw a guy staggering out from a side street and start walking in the same direction. He was the opposite side of the street, so we had a nice safe distance between us. It also took him a minute to realize that we were there. And when he did, he started yelling stuff like, "What's up, ladies? Need a little company over there?" I did my best to ignore him, and so did Kim. But then, under her breath, she said, "No thank you," in a way that had us both stifling these giggles. Now, the guy asked what the heck we were laughing about, and at first he sounded pretty chill, but then he changes to, "Wait, you two are laughing at me, aren't you?" And he started to sound very offended. And over the next, I actually really needed to pee at the time, so I would have accepted it anyway. But having that drunk a hole now basically following us absolutely sealed the deal. I accepted her invite, and then we darted down the next side street so we could lose our not-so-charming traveling companion. And when we heard him yelling, we picked up our pace a little, laughing at how outraged he sounded. I asked him if she thought he'd follow us, and she responds, "Probably." But watch this. Before she turned us down another smaller street, we were completely out of sight, leaving the drunk guy yelling aimlessly in the street. And we only had to walk a few more minutes before Kim then says, "We've arrived." It took me by surprise because we were walking past these super nice houses with gates and courtyards out front. I lived in a crummy apartment, but here was Kim, not too much older than me, and she had this really nice house. I was so taken aback that I kind of froze on the spot and told her that her place was amazing. Kim smiled like that was something she heard a lot. I couldn't help the barrage of questions that came next, but Kim was gracious enough to answer them for me. She said she lived alone and with a pretty hefty discount on the rent because she rented from a family friend. And I'm like, damn, I'm jealous. But in a sort of I'm happy for you kind of way, and Kim just sort of smiled before inviting me inside. The gate wasn't locked, so she just pushed the latch and opened it. And then we stepped into this cute terracotta courtyard with shrubberies on either side of a path. And there was a security light that turned itself on as we got closer to the door. But just before it did, effectively blinding me if I tried looking up, I swore that I saw a curtain twitch on the second floor of the house. Now, as we reached the door, I asked Kim if anyone was staying with her, and when she said no, I reached for her arm and stopped her unlocking it. She asked what I was doing. I told her about the twitching curtain and how it made me think that we deep in watched from the second floor. She told me it was probably just the alcohol messing with my eyes and that no one was inside. So I backed up a little ways from the porch and looked up at the windows again. The security light had turned off because nothing was moving on the path, which meant that I wasn't blinded by it when I tried looking up. And when I did, I saw the curtains twitch in a second floor window again. Clear as day, like I caught them looking. Now I'm like, for real though, is there someone in your house, Kim? We need to call the cops. But she snapped back saying I needed to chill. Just come inside, relax, have a drink. And she said a bunch of other stuff, but I didn't hear it. All I could hear were the alarm bells blaring in my head on account of the way Kim was acting. I might have been a little drunk, but I'm not stupid. And I slowly began to suspect the unthinkable. Kim wasn't just drunk and overconfident. She knew someone was in that house. And since all that seemed to matter to her was getting me inside, I realized things weren't as they seemed. At first, all I wanted was to call the cops because better safe than sorry, right? But then once I realized Kim maybe wasn't who she said she was, I just wanted to get the hell out of here. I didn't even say bye or anything. I just turned around and walked back towards the gate. Then the last thing Kim said in character was kind of offended, saying, "You're not leaving, are you?" And then no more than a few steps later, I heard the sound of feet rushing up the path behind me before Kim suddenly grabbed me by the hair. I asked what the hell she was doing, but she was done talking to me, and she was done listening to me too. She didn't try to hit me or anything. She just tried to hold me steady, and then my eardrums felt like they were about to burst when she screamed right up close to me, "Get down here and help me." I think hearing that sent me into overdrive, and I managed to push her to the ground before pulling my hair out of her grip. I felt that horrible burn as some was torn out from my scalp. And I didn't care though, because I was free to run towards that front gate again. But right as I did, I saw someone standing in the open doorway of the house, someone huge, and they were there to chase me down. I ran harder and faster than I ever did during high school track, which without blowing my own trumpet too hard, was pretty damn fast. And I only looked back once I ran through the streets, and the man chasing me was so close that I was going to burst into tears while running at full speed. So all I did was run and run as fast as I could till I saw a highway that had a few cars going back and forth. I ran out into that road and ran into the back of an oncoming car, which obviously had to brake once it saw me. The driver was obviously pissed, but when I tried to show him what I was running from,